Hi, this is Emily, and this is the M Dash. I don't even know what episode number this is, as I've been adding extra meditations and just stuff throughout the weeks, but I believe I'm on 15. That's exciting. If you've been here since the beginning, thank you so much for believing in everything I'm doing and returning each week. It means the world to me. If this is your first time, I hope you enjoy today's topic. Today, I'm talking a little bit about filling in the blanks. I had a lot of reflection in the last week. It's hard to believe as you get older how quickly time goes. And it's insane to me to think how quickly 2026 has been moving along. To think we're in the second week of May and my daughter finishes her sophomore year in 2 weeks is just, it's wild to me. I usually feel like January, February feels long, usually February, but it just felt like it's just moving so very quickly. And it was hard for me to even think last week, when I was FaceTiming with my dad yesterday on Mother's Day, I was thinking to myself, wow, I saw him a week ago. Like how quickly that time goes, and thinking about when will I see him again? Like that was already in my mind. Anyway, as I reflect, this whole episode is about continue to go, like keep going, and just because you don't have all the answers, your life is still moving. So yeah, today's all about filling in the blanks, and I'll just dive right in. This season, I say season of 2026 because it's felt like one big season to me, is about forward motion. And that's what I said at the beginning of the year. It wasn't a resolution or anything, and it wasn't one word. It was, to me, a statement: forward motion, one foot in front of the other. And my words almost were reflected back to me, everything I said to myself at my conference. And it's ironic how that works sometimes. But one thing I would say is, like, you continue to move forward, except you don't know where you're going. And a lot of times that's what builds the anxiety. That's what builds where you just feel like, I can't sit still. I don't know where this is going. I don't know. And it could be anything in life, right? You want to know where you're headed. In school, we learned to fill in the blanks. You got a sheet of paper from your teacher, whether it was English, grammar, whatever they call it now. I'm sure it's something different. And you had to fill it in with what? An adjective, a noun, an adverb. And you had to fill in what best completed the sentence. And makes me feel like we still live there. We are still waiting for someone to tell us how we're supposed to feel, how we're supposed to make our next move, how we're supposed to do things. And I think about it even when you're watching a series, like if someone's watching a Netflix series. I've heard people ask, and I've done it myself, so I'm not going to say just other people do it, but how many seasons are there? How many episodes? They don't want to be so committed to it if they don't know there's an end result or more is coming, right? We as humans want to know what's coming. And it used to not be that way. We used to not know, right? We had to wait on the cliffhanger. We even had to sit through commercials to be like, oh my God, what's happening next? And now it's just a quick click. And we all expect our lives to be the quick click and to know where we're going and what's going to happen and what it looks like, instead of just going through day to day and seeing it. I mean, can you imagine actually just flowing through your week and not worrying about what's happening next? If you do this, please reach out to me and tell me your magic trick. I have days where I do it. I have times where I do it, but I wouldn't say it's a complete practice of mine. So if you are in that mode, please reach out to me. I would love to even chat with you about it. Maybe I'll have a guest talk about that. But as I dive into this, I just want to say, like, back then we didn't need to know the whole story. We just needed enough to choose what fit next. And in life, like I said, we freeze, we panic, we get all stirred up because we want all the answers, the final outcome, the reassurance, and the certainty. But life keeps moving, even when the sentences aren't finished. And our job isn't to know everything. It's just our job to fill in what's next. We should be completing our own sentences. You know, people are going to misunderstand you, judge you, bully you, project onto you, and tell you who you are. But just because someone hands you a word does not mean that belongs in your sentence. You decide. I am brave, not them. And how you want to feel each day. I've kind of talked it before, like going in the mirror each morning and deciding to yourself exactly how you want to feel in the day and declaring it. Peaceful, grounded, focused, soft, clear. But then life happens. Things interrupt us. It could be a text from somebody. It could be you're scrolling and something upset you that you saw, or, you know, world news, something tragic happens, or something tragic happens personally. The point is, things are going to interrupt our days, and the pain will come, and disappointment will visit. But we have to let those things happen and choose how we keep going. We can choose peace. We can choose not to let it define our day. I've always said that, you know, one bad moment isn't a bad day and is not a bad life. I've always told people, when in doubt, walk it out. And I still believe in that. When you're feeling something comes on, step away from it for a moment. Breathe into you, not into the situation. And it doesn't mean you should never process something that's happening or something going on, but it's always our emotions are going to be higher right in the height of it. Sorry if you're hearing sound. My animals are deciding to chase each other right now. But it's distracting, obviously. I said, but those are fillers, right? I try not to use those. It's just, life's going to hand us moments and situations that are not planned. And that's the whole idea when I say fill in the blanks. We are the ones that get to decide how the story ends, how the sentence ends, how the next chapter goes. There is going to be disruptions all the time. That's, you know, there is no perfect day. There is no one out there with a perfect day and a perfect life. There are good moments throughout the day that make it a good day. I can say something happened, and then I can tell you all the blessings around me that are going to center me back into where I feel super, super grateful. Because it goes to the theory, you know, Mel Robbins, right? She has this big let them. And what that is all derived from is that people are going to have their own opinions about you, and they're going to misunderstand you, and they're going to tell stories. But it's our job just to let them. And I know a lot of people argue that theory. There's a lot of people that stand behind it, and there's always people that see the other, always don't believe in that. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And it doesn't mean because it's true. And that's the hard part, right? Because we as humans take things personally, whether we like to admit it or not. And it's not an easy thing to master just to say, let it roll off your shoulder, right? You take it personally if someone says something or behaves a certain way or gets an opinion about you. But it's our job to redirect that sentence. It's our place to remember who we are, who we stand for, and what we do. And we don't have to explain ourselves endlessly in rooms that refuse to see us clearly. You've got to let them misunderstand you. Just don't misunderstand yourself. I mean, you can live in the shoulda, coulda, woulda. I don't advise it. That's actually my very first episode when I started this podcast in late January. And we can live there because it's always how we react is the emotion side of it, right? When you reflect on it, you're like, oh, I could have said this. I could have done this. I should have done this. I would have done this. And then it turns into why me? Because I should have done this. No, Like in the moment, you did the very best you could and you reflect on it. And you can go back if it's something you need to revisit to have a deeper conversation or whatever it might be. Obviously, it's not always a conversation. Things do happen. But people, no matter what, are always going to form their own opinions. And we can't explain why. And we can't live there. Confusion happens. Pain happens. But a detour is not the end of your story. It's just a recalculated route. Think about it. When you have GPS on and you miss your exit and you're like, dang, and you have to turn around and go, you're just rerouted, right? It's okay. Yes, I like to be on time as well, right? So maybe you're just a little late and that makes you a little anxious. But the reroutes and the detours and the redirections, that's okay. That's life. Life is going to bring those. I don't think there is just one path we're on and we're never supposed to take a different sidewalk. You don't have to carry narratives, assumptions, or projections that aren't yours. Ask yourself, what's mine here? And release what isn't. Sometimes what hurts the most isn't the words. It's realizing you were trying to belong somewhere that didn't feel safe. And that's not someone causing problems. That's someone asking to belong. And I share this because, I know some of my daughter's friends listen to this and they're in high school and it's tough. Right? You guys live in a completely different world than we ever lived in with social media. We actually all live in a different world with social media. And everyone makes opinions based on photos, right? Or relationships, or reading something, maybe political or something, no matter what it is. We're all making our own assumptions, our own opinions, all based on what? What we see, what we read, but not facts. Our job is to control ourselves and what we are. Even if you post something, who cares? If you felt it and you owned it, that's you. How anyone else takes that, that's on them, right? How anyone perceives your personality, like I'm pretty direct. And a lot of people, that's not great for a lot of people. And I would never want anyone to think I'm unkind, I don't mean well. But I say things and I say them probably fiercely. And it'll take me back a moment if someone's like, man, the first time I met you, I didn't know. And I just thought, man, if they even knew how hard sometimes it is for me to even come in a room. I'm not the person that's going to go up and shake 50 hands. I am the girl that would sit in the corner and just observe and people watch. I'm not the one that does that. It's not the easiest for me. And I think sometimes that can be perceived in a different way. Like people can perceive you when you're not actively doing that, but we never know what's going on, right? The day that, someone meets me and maybe there's something tragic did happen to me. And so my facial expression's not my normal smiley self. It's very rare you would not see me smiling. But I'm saying to say that we all make perceptions and judgments and accusations when we don't even know the real story. It's like the game when we were younger. I think I've referenced this before, telephone, right? Someone says the sky is blue. And by the time it gets down to the 10th person that we whispered in the ear, they said something like, you like red lollipops. And you're like, that's not even what was said. That's the same thing. That's the same thing when people tell stories that wasn't their story to tell. Or you're talking about a situation that you didn't see in front of you. There's always going to be a different perception of that. And this isn't to just dive into let them, but I thought it was a good reference because we worry so much about what other people think when we're letting them basically fill in the blanks about us. When we get to decide that, we get to decide who we are, how we're going to feel, and what we're going to do next. That's for us to decide. No matter what it is, that's our decision, right? And I get we have to abide by rules, right? You do have to drive, on the right side of the road and go the speed limit. And if you're in school, go to class and to work, show up for job and XYZ. That's obviously not what I'm talking about, but I'm talking outside of that. You decide how you show up and who you are. How other people perceive you, I hate saying it like this, but it's really none of our business. And it's not the easiest thing to master. But you get older, and it's where I'm at that energy is important to me, who I'm around and what I'm doing, and rest, right? I have to rest. And if I'm going to give extra energy to someone, I'm going to make sure the person or the place brings me peace, brings me joy. Not doing it just because I think I need to do it. You complete the sentence. You decide how you want to feel today. What is actually yours? What blank am I filling in right now? Am I letting fear write the sentence? Life keeps moving, even when the sentence isn't finished. Complete your own sentence before the pain tries to write it for you. Detours may change the route, but they do not remove your right to choose where you go next. And just don't allow one hard moment to narrate your entire future. Today, honor what you feel without surrendering it to it completely. Let the tears come if they need to. Just don't build a home there. And you decide what happens next. You fill in the blanks. All I ask is that you keep going. Blessing for forward motion. May you trust yourself enough to fill in what comes next, even when you don't have every answer. May you feel deeply without living permanently in pain. May you let people be who they are without forgetting who you are. May you remember the story is still yours. And today, keep going. Now, I want to leave you with something today. I'd say it's just for fun, but it kind of might sound like a little bit of a homework assignment. But I challenge you to do it, and maybe try to do this every day. Maybe try to write this down when you're writing your to-do list or starting your day, or maybe even the notes in your phone. But if you're driving, come back to this. But let's just try something with an adjective. Like today, I choose to be blank. You fill that in. Is it brave, calm, honest, intentional, resilient? And then reflect on it. What quality do you want to embody before the world tells you who you want to be? Help that decide your day. Like if you say today, I choose to be resilient, no matter what, you're going to make it through today. And that's because you've told yourself, I got this. I'm resilient. Let's try another one, maybe an adverb. Describes how you move. Today, I move blank. Maybe you move confidently or freely, boldly, or maybe even gently. And then reflect to yourself, how do you want to move through whatever comes at me today? It's a powerful one, right? No matter what comes my way, I move slowly. That's okay. You get to choose how you move. Let's do one with the noun. Today, I protect my blank. Maybe it's your peace. Maybe it's your purpose. Maybe it's joy. Maybe it's your voice. And reflect, what matters enough today that it deserves my attention? Maybe something you feel like you've been neglecting. I'm not trying to give you an English lesson, grammar lessons, or remember all those things.